Welcome to another episode of The Pursuit. I'm Pastor Rick, and I'm joined here with Pam, our Children's Ministry Director. Pam, you doing okay today?
I am.
All right, Pam, it's been a while since you've been with us as this group here, and I know you have been paired with me and Harper. We won't talk about who your favorite co-host is, but we always start with an icebreaker, and have you started with the new ones?
I haven't, so I'm really excited.
Okay, so
Can I do it?
Well, hold on.
Oh, okay, I'm just
so
ready.
we're a little terrified because usually Harper and I will come up with something right before, and we kind of have no idea. But these have all been very on the spot kind of things, so there's a lot of dead air time. So here we go. I'm going to let you go, so that I'll be the one that answers it first.
Okay.
So that means you have a little bit of time to think about it.
All right. We'll do that. All right. Ooh, this one's good.
Okay.
If you could wave a magic wand and be able to do something really, really well, what would it be?
Well, so I'm going to have to ask some follow-up questions. So wave a magic wand.
The card doesn't have.
Well, I know. I need you to give me some stuff here. So I need to wave to fix an issue or to solve an issue.
If you could be able to do something really, really well, maybe give yourself some kind of superpower.
I'm reading. It can't be superpower. That might be another one. How about I take this one and say if I could wave my magic wand and there's something done that's done. And it's good. Oh wow, there's
so many.
I could do so many like nice things for other people. And then I'm thinking, but yeah, I could do this too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think if I could wave a magic wand and be able to do something really well, I would, I think, be a better, I guess I would say, I won't say manager of time, but more of a, I've got all the eggs in the right basket. Sometimes doing the things like,
balance.
Right, balancing, working at the school and the church. There are sometimes, because it's great because they're both unified, sometimes I think, I already took care of that. No, I didn't take care of that because I did that for the church. I didn't do it for the school. And so sometimes you have to do that. If I could have that kind of wave magic wand, I think they're called planners.
Yes.
Maybe I could just go to Barnes & Noble and pick up a planner. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's true. What about you?
Okay, well, you went in there. So I was thinking if I could wave magic wand and like do something really, really well, I was thinking like I would love to wave my magic wand to have my house all like done.
Okay.
Like I don't want to have to paint or just like
gotcha. You said
like we have all these projects. I know, but I was thinking different.
Well, I was concerned when you said have my house done. I'm like, is your house roofless right now?
No, I have a roof.
Okay, all right.
I mean, the gutters are a little jacked, but it's fine.
I think this could be a cry for help.
Yes,
if people are listening and you'd like to help out with Pam's renovations,
text connect. Yes, and we'll take it.
That's awesome.
With gutters, windows,
or you could buy me a planner and tell me to get organized. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Well, take some time right now with your group. Maybe you could figure out in your group what this question is asking. Is this question asking if you need a magic wand to give you a power to be able to do something well, or just to finish a project or to do a project well? What would it be if you had a magic wand and you could wave it and solve a problem? Maybe that'd be the way to go.
Like that one.
Well, as we are continuing through our series in Ephesians from death to life, this week's sermon was really a different sermon than we've had on most Mother's Days. This sermon had to do with what Pastor Kivett's going to call the three relationships that God uses to shape us. And the first one is marriage.
Right, which, when you asked me to come do the pursuit with you, I didn't realize it was on marriage. I might have said no, but I'm glad I didn't know. And I want to take a minute and just kind of talk to you guys who maybe are in this situation like me. When you hear, there's a sermon about marriage, you kind of just shut it off. If you're single and that doesn't apply to you and you think, man, I'm not in that marriage relationship, I have no prospects on the horizon, so I don't know when that's going to be, or even thinking about it, maybe it's something you long for really bad and it just kind of causes this hurt. So I just want to encourage you to stop this video right now and just talk to God about it, because you don't want to miss out on this video. Because when I was coming in and watching the sermon, I had that preconceived, great, another marriage sermon. But I even talked with Pastor Kivett before, and he was kind of talking me through, and he was like, this is about relationship, and it should be about your relationship with God. And so if that is not your mindset, pause right now, pray and ask God to do that, because this is a relationship workshop, and there's so much we can learn about God from the picture of marriage, whether you are in a marriage relationship now, someday in the future, or maybe you never are.
Or maybe take the time as the whole group could just stop right now. Instead of going through a passage like this that we hear all the time, we hear at every wedding. I preach this passage in every wedding I perform. Maybe take some time right now, stop this video, praise the group, and ask God to work in any way he wants to in this pursuit video and in your group. Well, okay. Well, Pastor Kivitz, he shared this again. He said that this was one of the three means by which God uses relationships to grow us. He said for the next 3 weeks he's going to be going through this. The first one's on marriage, then family, then eventually work. And then one of his first questions, as he talked about, was the idea of how these relationships shape us. He talked about specifically in marriage. He said that he was talking about the unconditional nature of love that's found in marriage. He said that superficial love is love without being known. And then he said rejection is to be known, but not loved. And then he talked about how marriage should teach us about God's love, but it should never replace God's love. So I thought about the question, if God is to be our ultimate fulfillment, and these relationships, whether we look at marriage, family, any relationship that we're in, how can they be times where we put them over what God is trying to teach us? So it's the idea of how could any relationship become God to us or take the place of that? So thought it'd be, instead of us answering the question, we could pitch it to our audience, to our crowd, but we could talk about the different kinds of relationships that could be involved in this, not just marriage. As we said, there's single people watching this video too. So let's do this first. What are some of the kind of relationships that we could bring up to our people at home?
Yeah, so definitely, I think for myself, like any kind of relationship, specifically like friendships, or, and we are all created for relationship. That's how God made us in that community, and we all long for that. So any relationship that we seek more or want more than our relationship with God can easily take that place and just be dangerous.
Yeah, I was thinking good friends. It might be even, I'm going to use this one, a relationship with who you think you are. Your own personal view of yourself. And then in a couple weeks, when Pastor Kivitz gets into it, discussing work, I think that's really going to be an important discussion to have about how this could take God's place here. So for right now, take some time with your group. Discuss various relationships and what the dangers are. How could those relationships, whether it be your marriage, maybe a dating relationship that you might be in if you're as a single adult in one of these groups, maybe even as a mom and dad, as a parent, sometimes we can do this with our parenting. Whatever a relationship is, work, how could that relationship, how could that easily become God and take God's place? So in this discussion, as we went through Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 through 33, Pastor Kivitz said that you could sum up the teaching here with husbands and wives in 2 words.
Right, yeah. Right. So we said that husbands are to love their wives, and that wives are to respect their husband. So the words love and respect, and that's what's seen in there. And I found that was very interesting. Yeah. How we brought those two up, and it's so true and so accurate. And
then as I'm thinking, and I've read this passage, I've read the Love and Respect book, by Emerson Eggerichs. I don't know how to say that name as well.
That's a tough one.
And if you do have Pastor Kivitz's book, he would like that back, as he mentioned in the service.
You can drop it off anonymously at the church,
Right. I thought for a second, well, I have a copy. Is it his?
Check that.
But I've always kind of heard different things on this, and so my question is, I want to post it out here. Why does Paul use the specific word for that specific person in the relationship? Why does he tell husbands, love your wives? Why does he tell wives to respect your husbands? Why doesn't he tell wives to love their husbands and husbands to respect their wives? Because I've heard all different ways. I've read everybody's thoughts on it. Some are good, some are out there. But I just want to post that out there to everybody. Discuss with your group, why is it that Paul uses such specific words for those groups? Is he saying something specific, that husbands aren't naturally loving and they need to be told that, or that wives aren't naturally respectful and they need to be told that? Or is it something else? Is it something more specific or pointed that he's trying to do? Think about why Paul uses the words he uses in his commands for husbands to love their wives and for wives to respect their husbands.
All right, as you guys have had discussion about that love and respect and that picture of marriage, we have another question, our last question to kind of ask. So, what are some of the godly examples of love and respect in marriage that God has used to shape your own understanding of marriage? And instantly, my first thought, 'cause I'm going to share mine, is the marriage of my parents. So, my mom and dad were just such amazing, godly examples of this love and respect. Because, mom always had a voice in the home. She was always loved and cared for, and equally, would respect dad. And I think that's really shaped my understanding of marriage, and as well as pointed to God's love in that picture of marriage.
Yeah, I would agree with my parents is the same way. With a little bit of sort. My mom and dad, at the recording of this video, they're a month away from celebrating their 50th anniversary,
Yay,
which is totally cool. And they were a couple who their moms and dads were divorced moms and dads, so they were children of broken homes, and there was that fear that it happened. Mm-hmm. But my mom and dad were like, no, we decided that. I remember talking to my dad about it one time. He said, we just decided that these kind of breakups were not an option. We're going to stick together, and they have been an example of faithful love for one another. I was also think of a couple people here at Salem, and we want you to name names in your group. Names, yes. So I'm going to name names in this video, and if you're watching, I've told this couple this before,
so
they've heard
this. Is good. Okay.
It's definitely for me and my wife, Carl and Ruth Deaton. Mm-hmm. Carl and Ruth, when Jill and I first came to Salem, a young couple, freshly married, and they took us under their wings, whether we really wanted to or not. They invited us over. They just kept hanging out with us, and I just saw with Carl and Ruth godly examples of marriage. Godly examples of Carl as a husband and father, and as Ruth as a wife and mother. And Jill and I say it, I believe we'd still be married today if we never met Carl and Ruth. We just would nowhere near be as happy because we saw in them what it looks like. There's mistakes. Yeah, people make, they're just human people. But we saw there's that forgiveness love that Pastor Kivett shared in the sermon. A marriage is about forgiving. We saw that exemplified in Carl and Ruth, and I can't say good enough about them. Well, take this time right now with your group and discuss these godly examples of what marriage looks like. It may be from your own family, and then as you're sharing those couples' names, maybe share why. Because one of the blessings of this is that someone else in the group may need to hear this. They may need to see this firsthand lived out. And so share the name and then share why they mean so much to you.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this episode of The Pursuit. If you need to go back and watch any other episodes of The Pursuit, you can find those on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. You can also click the link on your screen to find previous sermons from the Death Life series here in Ephesians. You can also click the link there in the middle to subscribe to our channel so that you're updated when new content is released. We're grateful that you were able to join us today. We'll see you next time.